my friends, and welcome back. My name is Hannah, and today I have a first impression for you for the new XX Revolution Matrix collection. Well, it's only 2 of the palettes out of the huge collection. I'll insert a picture here of what the whole collection kind of is, because it is pretty beefy. There's not just makeup items, but there's also accessories that come with it. And if I'm being honest, the Revolution brand doesn't really catch my eye ever. To me, they just kind of remind me of, I know that they are drugstore makeup, but it just reminds me of an era of drugstore makeup where it's just, how do I put this? They have so many sub-brands and they come out with stuff all the time. It's a little bit different from NYX, where NYX at least has a reputation of like having things that really work, and then maybe 1 or 2 collections where like everything is a mistake. With the Revolution brand, I don't know, any videos that I've seen on them or products that I've got to play with like in store, they're just not something that I would personally be interested in, but obviously I'm very interested in the Matrix. So much so that like I have my Matrix shirt on today. I will be filming a video of me making one of these coats in the sewing patterns for the new Matrix movie coming out. I feel like I kind of manifested that with how obsessed I was with like cyberpunk. I am obsessed with cyberpunk. If you haven't watched The Matrix, or if you haven't played cyberpunk, I won't give any spoilers away, but I think the two go hand in hand, which I think is funny that Keanu Reeves is kind of like a main character in both stories. Just very similar in like what government influence does to a society and the future of technology and kind of being a ghost in the shell, if you will. Very interesting stuff. So I do have the Trinity palette and the Morpheus palette here, and I guess I'll just get into, I know I kind of just said that like the Revolution brand in general doesn't really like interest me, but looking at the rest of the collection, like I don't know, where I am with my makeup skills, I would rather have like brushes that I could count on than just to buy brushes that like I guess look cute but don't do anything, because I already have a few brushes like that in my collection and I don't need any more. So I'm not gonna buy them. They have the like makeup eraser pads in there, but I already have makeup eraser pads, so I don't need those ones. And I don't need a case to hold my makeup or like Ziploc bags or anything like that. So like those accessories aren't for me, but I can see someone else really enjoying them. I guess the thing that also like turns me off from them is that the branding for the makeup brand is very large on these items, and then in very small text is like the Matrix slapped on there. That just seems kind of like a money grab for me, so I'm not very interested. And besides the Trinity and the Morpheus palette, they have the big red pill, blue pill palette, which, I mean, I wish that they were 2 separate palettes, and I kind of wish that they weren't the color stories that they are. Because looking at it, I realistically wouldn't reach for either palette. Like, those just aren't really my color stories, and one just seems to be kind of like, I don't know, can you say it's a red rainbow palette? It's not, but it's just got like some reds and some yellows and some oranges in there, and then the blue one is some blues and some purples and maybe 1 or 2 greens. Like, I mean, if I were gonna get like a true like blue palette like that, I would maybe get something like that from like Melt Makeup or Kaleidos or something like that versus like the Revolution brand. I don't know, I'm not so very confident in their formula, because like I said, anything that I've seen of them or played with, it is what it is. And I don't know, for a company that has so many little sub companies underneath it, like there's just, I feel like the Revolution brand is a little problematic. And I don't know, this is called like XX Revolution, like it's not even like the Revolution Pro or whatever the heck it's called. So I'm not even quite sure what to refer to them as far as like company name goes. But I think these palettes are called the Luxe palette. So this is the Trinity Luxe and the Morpheus Luxe. I don't know. We'll see. The packaging is kind of cute. Like it feels very sturdy. Like even in the box, like these remind me of like VHS tapes. And I don't know, I like that it has like the two different like color sort. Like one is very green and then the other one is kind of like this black tone. But I don't know if you guys would have remembered, or if this is a little bit before your time. When The Matrix came out, it came out on like VHS and stuff. I think this is supposed to be for the first Matrix movie, and then this is supposed to be for the second one, because I believe the VHS for the second one had more of the green influence on it. I know for the Laserdisc, it's like the original theatrical release of The Matrix, because anything on DVD and VHS, like they start putting in some like green editing. It's kind of like similar to what like George Lucas did with the original Star Wars movies when he started putting in like the claymation stuff. If you're not a movie person, you don't have to worry about it. So let's open up the Morpheus palette first, because this one is supposed to be the more neutral toned, and realistically this would probably be the one that I reach for the most as far as the two palettes, only because like I like a neutral toned palette, and I think the colors in this one are a little bit more promising. So here we are. It's this just browns and purples and blues. I think the names are pretty cute. Like there's this red matte that says red pill, and then this blue shimmer shade that says blue pill. There are pressed pigments, but I don't know if these are like satin shades or pressed glitters. I feel like something would tell, like usually the packaging would say pressed glitters, but it doesn't. It just says pressed pigments. And they don't really look like pressed glitters. I mean, maybe this one does. I'll insert some B-rolls of the swatches because I don't want to swatch them before I play with them first. So I won't see it until the end. I do hate that the shade names aren't on the packaging. It's just on the little insert that comes in it. I don't like to really save the inserts. I don't know. I feel like you could do some really fun like grungy looks with this, but then also just do some like safe for work looks. So we'll get to that when we get there. And then the next palette is the Trinity palette. I'm a little sad that like they don't have, well, I think they do have the Neo palette. I think that huge like red pill, blue pill palette is called the Neo palette. I think. I don't know. That one's just so massive. There's no way. But here we are, and it's like this slime green. Like the packaging feels very sturdy, very nice. Like I like this. And this one is the more rainbow palette. This was the one where I wasn't so sure how often I was really gonna grab for this, because I feel like some of the like tones that do call to me, I already have in other formulas that I like, especially like these green ones and some of these purples and this deep blue. Like I have the Club Nebula palette, but that's neither here nor there. This one also says that it has pressed pigments, but this one seems to have more like pressed glitter shades. Like the shimmers in here really seem more glittery than like the other palette. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do one palette on one eye and the other palette on the other eye. I'll save all my final thoughts and opinions for the end of the video. And anything that I'm using on my face today, I will have linked down below. What else? I will have linked down below where you can grab these palettes or this collection if you're interested in grabbing them. So let's go ahead and zoom in, and let's start with the first look. I'm going to start with the Morpheus. Okay, so I think I'm going to do like a deep smoky eye kind of look for this palette. And I'm going to start with this shade. I think it's called Unplugged. It's like a cooler matte shade, and I'm just gonna pop that right in my crease. I had already applied my primer, so we'll see how it works. Okay. And then I'm going to take this shade. I think it's called Control. It's like a purple kind of brown tone. And I'm just going to pop that in the outer corner of my eye. I like how deep the shade is, because I really can't tell if it's a purple or a brown, but it looks really pretty. And I'm just going to apply that to the outer corner. And then I'm going to take the shade in the bottom right. What do they have it as? Nebuchadnezzar? That sounds like a Pokemon name. I'm sure it's something from the Matrix. I like the first Matrix movie. I don't care for the second one or the third one. We'll see how much I like the fourth one. I think it's supposed to be like Neo's new journey. I won't spoil anything if you haven't watched the movies. At least watch the first one. I don't know if you really need to watch the other ones. I just don't think they're as entertaining. So I think this bottom purple shade is supposed to be like a demi shimmer, because it's not really shimmery on the lid, but it's shimmery in the pan. I may have gone a little too heavy. That's fine. I'm going to take a naked blending brush and I'm just going to soften that out. I will say, as far as like this palette goes, I think these are more like shades that I would associate with Morpheus. I think he wears like a purple tie, and I think like his coat linings and like the inside of his coat are like a purple tone. I think it's more noticeable in the Matrix sequels versus like the first movie, but he definitely has like a purple like aura to him. Okay, and then what am I gonna do for the lid? I'll take this shade, what is it called? Gatekeepers. And it's a shimmer shade, but what I'll do is I'll get my brush wet. And I'll just place it on top. What's interesting is like the part of the darker shade that I have on my lid, when I place this on top, it makes it more of like a brighter purple. So I don't know if this is like an iridescent shade. These palettes aren't very expensive, so I don't think that there's anything like duochrome or anything like that. I think these are just like standard shimmer formulas, but it looks pretty. And then I'm gonna have it like kind of meet right where I have those darker shades starting. And I'll go back in with that brush and just kind of kiss the two together. What shade do I want to take underneath? I will take the shade Red Pill. And it's just like this like burgundy kind of matte shade. And I'll just apply that to the lower lid. And then I'll I'll take this shade Speed, which is like this very white shade in the bottom corner. And I'll use that as my inner corner highlight. I don't know if you can even really see that. Is this more of like a shade that I could use to soften these lines for blending? Probably. Okay, so I'm gonna wait and do my mascara and everything off camera when I finish both eyes. So let's go into the Trinity palette. I don't know, this is a very, very purple look for me. Have fun. I kind of feel like Grimes. Okay, so let's go into the Trinity palette. Do I want to keep this purple? Do I want to have like matching shadow looks? Sure, why not? Okay. So I'm gonna take this shade, Prophecy? Is that what I'm gonna take? Yes. I'm gonna take the shade Prophecy. And again, I'm just gonna add it to the crease. If you can even see that, wow, okay. I hope it's doing something because I can't even tell that there's like a shade there. Okay, let's take, do I want to take this shade PVC? Sure. That's what I'll do. And again, I'll add it to the outside corner. Wow, okay. I didn't have that much on my brush, but that's okay. Very blue. I promise I know how to do eyeshadow. Wow. Okay. Let's see if I can't just blend some of that out and not cry. What shade am I gonna take? I'll take this shade Dodge Bullets. And I'll place it right on top, just stamp it in. Okay, I'll just gotta leave it alone. What shade do I want to do on my lid? I'll take this shade Virus. This one definitely seems more like a pressed glitter. It picks up a little bit differently than the other shimmer, but I'll get it wet. Let's place it on the lid. Yeah, this one is definitely more of like a pressed glitter because there's no like pigment underneath. If you really wanted it to pop, I would add like another shade underneath. Interesting. Okay, and then I will take, what's the shade am I gonna use on the bottom? This is the shade Database. This is more of like a magenta color. Huh. And then what shade am I gonna use for my inner corner? This shade's called the One. It's like a white shade, a white shimmer shade. I guess I'll bring it up over under my eyebrows. Why not? Here, I'm gonna use this fluffier brush just to kind of clean it up. Okay, let me do my lashes and everything, and I will close out this video and give you some of my final thoughts. Okay, so let's talk about this look. You couldn't tell me that I used two different palettes to do this look. I purposely chose very similar shades to see if they were similar in tone. I did do a blue liner in my lower lash line, but wow, you really couldn't tell me I used two different palettes. They look exactly the same. So what that tells me is that if you were really into the purple shades, you only need the one palette, I guess. You don't need both. What I will say though is that on the Morpheus side, I have crazy fallout. Like, I have so much fallout on the Morpheus side, which is weird because you would think if they look so similar, I would have it on both sides. But no, only on the Morpheus side. So let me see if I can't just sweep it away because I did add powder. And no, I don't have it here, but I definitely have it all on this side. So that makes me think I think that deep purple shade in the Morpheus palette, for some reason, is just a very, like, I could have had too much product on my brush. I don't know, but they look very, very similar. Very similar. I wasn't anticipating or expecting the formulas to be anything crazy or fantastic. Like, you're gonna get what you pay for. So I kind of anticipated this to be a drugstore palette. I am a little disappointed that these deeper shades are very similar in both palettes. Like, they don't look it. So okay, how do I want to hold this up? I'll do it like this. Okay, so when you look at the pan, it almost doesn't look the same because I used this shade for my lower lid and I used this shade for my lower lid, and this one looks more magenta, but they come out the same tone. I used this shade for my lid and this one for my lid, and I mean, one looks more purple and the other looks more pink, but they look exactly the same on the lid. I took these two shades for my outer corner, and I took this shade and this purple shade, which is crazy to me because they look nothing like that, yet they look the same on my lid. And I don't know, I don't think I'm a makeup wizard by any means. Holy smokes, are they not just the same? So what that tells me is that you don't need both palettes. So I don't know, the formula, like I said, you're buying into the drugstore formula, so if you don't mind that there's like a lot of fallout in the pan. And usually for me, fallout in the pan doesn't really mean anything. It's just all that shows me is that I have to go in with a very light hand with that shade, or else I'll get that fallout all over my face. So if you're okay with that, I think these palettes will work for you. Do I feel like it's a little bit of a cash grab? Yes, because this purple pink look feels like something I could have done with my Lunar Lavender palette, and it would have been a lot easier to blend, and I wouldn't be as, or I guess I would feel even more confident to go out with those looks. But I don't know, I'll take it for what it is. And there you go. I'm nervous about what that big red blue pill palette would be like, only because like that's such a huge palette, and I think that palette itself is like $40. I think these ones, I'll have prices listed down below, but I think these ones were like less than $20 each. Like they weren't too crazy expensive. And like I said, the packaging feels really nice. I wish that the quality was just as nice. So I don't know, I guess these are just like fun palettes to have because they are the Matrix. But I feel like as far as like fulfilling my cyberpunk aesthetic fantasies, I will just stick with my Kaleidos brand. And so I guess that's it for my final thoughts and opinions. Let me know in the comments down below, did you pick up anything from this Matrix collection? Do you even care that there's a new Matrix movie coming out? Did you try the big red pill, blue pill palette? I would love to hear all your thoughts and opinions down below, and I will see you guys in the next one.